the word whore, H-O-R in Hebrew, where we get our W-H-O-R-E word, means womb or cave. And so a whore, is a womb. It's a cave. It's a sacred place. Caves have since time immemorial been these wombs of the earth where we can go and return to the mother, where we can go and be in complete pitch blackness. Like when you go tour a cave and they've got it all lit up, it would not be like that. You would maybe have one torch and good luck, because the deeper you get in there, the less oxygen there is. And then your fire is going to go out eventually. Mm-hmm. So caves were this massive place of initiations and rites and rituals. We were singing in the largest cave system in Europe that was so powerful and so beautiful. And so for me, I just feel, as you know, we started with the word weird. I'm a Gemini. I love words. I love communicating. I love stories. I really feel deeply that so much of who Mary Magdalene is or was in the Bible and how she's represented in religion, the same as how witches are represented when the word means wise. It's like witches were the doctors in every village. Imagine if we treated doctors the way we have treated witches. It's just outrageous. So I really got interested in her because it appears to me, like so many other things in our modern society, she's just been misrepresented. And she was very likely the wife of Jesus and his counterpart in charging and in utilizing sex magic and creative energy, right? They're the same energy, they're the same frequency. We make love, we make a baby, right? It's creative. Sexual energy is creative energy. And so, I saw the little tidbit on Tantra, so I don't want to repeat anything for anyone, because you got Kaya's podcast on that. But there is so much for me about the laying on of hands, these ancient, easy, simple magic, just putting my hands upon someone and generating these frequencies, these waves, this healing, this change of mind, change of heart. And so I believe that her womb wisdom and her work as this hor, this womb cave of the earth where we can return for initiations and for rites of passage and for transformation, I believe that she was very much an awakened avatar, the same as Jesus was. And they were working in union together in order to create these miracles. And then she was just written out of the stories, the same as there's so many different, we could go into so many rabbit holes. I know you like rabbit holes. But the words in the Bible that have been changed, ruach, the word that is used now for the Holy Spirit, means wind. It's the breath of life. And we change these words so much. There's a translation of the Bible where if you go back far enough, the word that became witchcraft and why witches are bad and evil, it was originally manipulation. So there's just back then, before the printing press, which was invented in the 1500s, we're talking about the Bible being written, in the early 1, 2, 300s, these different versions, everything was transcribed by hand. So whoever's sitting there, whoever's paying that person to write this down can say, change this, do that. I want this to be like this. And the Bible was just changed over and over again, depending. That's why we have the King James version, because he was the leader at the time that version was being propagated. And so I believe that Mary Magdalene was, a goddess of her time, an enlightened woman, a powerful spiritual being who was misrepresented and misunderstood and was leading rituals and teaching and being highly respected until, it was no longer safe for her to be doing that, or until she died, that part, there's a lot of mystery around what happened. But for me, because of the gifts that I have always had, because of my long study of Tantra, because of just the nature of the reality that I want to create and live in, it seemed like a very potent experience to participate in and go to these places where, we even get it's said that the lineage of the Cathars is passed down from Mary Magdalene. And we even get the word catharsis or cathartic from the Cathars, who were these people, these mystic people that survived until the 1200s in southern France and in this region where I am now. And so, it feels to me like there's always just so much lost wisdom. And that's what obviously you're doing too, like in such a big, beautiful way. And what we're all, those of us who are on this path of sharing, are really here to just help first remember within ourselves and go through those agonizing moments and those miserable times and those shitty fucking days where you're just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't know what's happening. Help me. And persevering and pushing through and knowing that people like Mary Magdalene, people like Jesus, they dealt with a lot of horrible shit to hold those transmissions for people like us to remember and then, send out and transmit into the world. So it just felt like a really important piece of the puzzle for me as well. And really, because I do also notice for me, like something I've never shared on a podcast before, but I really do notice my witch wound, which, we can talk more about. Everyone has. It's like a result of magical people and people in their power being burned and wiped out from the planet. All indigenous cultures and civilizations throughout colonization and history. But a lot of that shows up for me in my partnership. And I feel afraid sometimes to like show him the depth of my magic. And like, he's the person that's closest to me and he's there with me all the time. And, just like little things, a wrong facial expression, one small sentence that he'll say or that he said at the beginning of our relationship, like these things that will just stick in my mind and create this massive fear of like showing up holy, as like the queen and the priestess. Yeah. And so that was another big piece of it for me, was like, I can't live in this illusion anymore. Like, I am a Magdalene. I am a holy hor, like a womb cave of the earth designed for, transformation and rebirth. And the most important place for me to bring that is into my life with my king, so that like that ripple that I'm sending out into the world is pristine and it's pure and it's in full integrity. Yeah. So that was really the deeper reason for me going.
One of the things that Kaya talked about was, I shared the story about reading the Isis initiation and how cold I was that night. And she was like, well, that's just your body remembering and processing, lifetimes of being murdered for your magic. There are so many of us that share and feeling like there's more, and that there was that we have this power and it's just been suppressed and not encouraged or cultivated. This is the time to bring the magic back. So thank you. Yeah, it really is, because, and it's not an us or them thing. It's not a men or women or anything like that. It's more about how do we do it all together, because actually this was said and talked about in the interview yesterday. It's about talking about the energies of two people coming together. And when you get the toroidal field moving, actually, he said, not even at the same time, but you actually get them going opposite and they meet in the middle and create even more like a vortex of its in and of itself there. That can't be possible until both are able to fully practice and express what they're capable of. So let's talk more about just kind of like the cult of Isis and, the lineage from that and, what you know about that, because I was just very intrigued about sex magic, and a girlfriend had given me the Magdalene manuscript, and I love channeling, and there's channeling in it. And so maybe going into like what about the cults of the cult of Isis and these cults that existed in ancient Egypt and I'm sure in other places too, and what their mission was.
I mean, everywhere, like really, when you go back far enough, like every civilization has these beautiful, powerful, ancient cultural magics. Even we get the word cult, or we get the word culture from these cults, right? Like this is how we created our culture. And just really briefly, something I want to mention, you said, it's not about gender, men or women. The witch wound affects men in a totally different way, because they were actually supposed to protect those women who were burned. So like people really negate men from the witch wound, but like that is outrageous, because imagine if it was your sister or your daughter or your wife who's being stripped out of your house and put up on a pyre or drowned or whatever it is, like, and it was your job to take care of her. There is a massive witch wound. And of course, like, men also, like anyone who was practicing magic or earth-based wisdom or using the medicine of plants, which was the only medicine we had until
right.
the modern day, anyone would be killed. But that's just something really important to acknowledge for any masculine listeners, and like women with male partners or anyone with male partners, is like really to recognize that it affects men. And also
really good point.
You can't, no crying, no feeling, like all of that. It's just been programmed into us all differently.
Oh, thank you.
So with the cults of Isis, I personally, I love so deeply just the magic of utilizing energy as technology, right? And that's what Tantra really is like energetic alchemy, this elemental union of like breath and sound and movement through the body, and the sweet waters and the sweat and the tears and like all of the elements that make up our bodies, and wielding them for our desires, for our healing. And so from my understanding, when I went to Egypt, and I know you've been on a pilgrimage, I saw you went with some of my sisters a few years ago. I personally, everything that's like called a sarcophagus, I'm like, oh, this is a burial chamber. I'm like, that is fucking ridiculous. Like, those are not burial chambers. There's nobody being buried in there, but there's a lot of magical sound frequency technology in there. And there's a lot of really cool, perfectly, little whispering moments. And so it feels to me, and also, when you go there and you learn about how much bigger the Nile was during that time.
Oh yeah, it went right up to the temples.
Exactly. So they're like using hydropower, right? They're using water, they're using energy, they're using sound. And one of the things that I'm sure you guys went to, the Osirion, that place that just was discovered 85 years ago, underneath the sand, and these giant stones that are all perfectly aligned, just like pristinely cut, the same as the Great Pyramids. And they're like 150 tons, which is like 300,000 pounds each. And I sat up against one of them, and I love to do this channeled writing practice. You said you love channeling. So how I love to channel is I just invoke whatever the thing is, whether it's the goddess or the dragons or Mother Nature or the stones in this case. And I said, I call upon the stones of the Osirion, please write to me, through me, anything I'm meant to receive in this moment.
Yeah.
And I asked them, how did you get here? And they said, they learned to sing our songs. They learned to sing with us, and they asked us to come, and we agreed. And they showed me, I didn't write this part down, but they like showed me this image of people singing and chanting. I don't know if what else may have been creating sonic frequency, but like utilizing word and voice and like perhaps words of power. I'm not very like clairaudient, so I didn't hear anything. I just like saw this visual of it. Yeah. And it was like the stones separated themselves from the mountains. There wasn't anything being cut. They just like kind of like stepped forward out of the mountains. And then I was seeing them like floating, and they were like hovering over the ground.
If you like this clip and you want to hear the whole episode, click at the bottom of your screen.